Hello everybody! I have got a very, well, somewhat quick leveling guide. Once again, it's a new spot I suppose. But I wanted to point this out because I kind of like this area. I don't know, it's, I'd say it's not as good as the, I don't know, what was it called there? The crew quarters or something like that. But basically the last like leveling area, I suppose. But anyways, I'm going to start this off just by upgrading this Whistlewind scarf that we grabbed. And that's actually a direct upgrade there. The Whistlewind to the Aurora scarf is just a pure and straight upgrade. I mean, the Whistlewind scarf only gives you one ATB segment charged up prior to battle, whereas the Aurora scarf fills up all of your ATB segments. So, very, very useful item there. And combine that with the Aurora, or sorry, not the Aurora scarf, the Axis blade, and you'll get the attack ATB, or sorry, the ATB plus 10% recharge rate. So I really like that combination, and I think that's really useful for Lightning, and specifically even when she, well, I mean, it's not even only when she's in her, or being a Ravager, but also, I mean, even if she is, or even if you do go with the Commando route, it's still useful. So anyways, that's what we're doing. And then I actually mentioned in the previous kind of leveling guide there as well, I really like to have these Guardian Amulets leveled up into the Shield Talismans. And so the big difference there is, you know, obviously the Guardian Amulet is only going to give you protect when you fall into critical status, whereas the Shield Talisman will have it activated right away, which I really like. I really like for this point in the game. It ends up being pretty useful, being that I like to basically not have to switch into a healing paradigm for these battles, and so most of the time you'll just be able to you know, spam you know, the auto battle command and not really have to do a whole lot as far as switching paradigms. So that's kind of why I do that. Now for this area specifically though, that kind of changes. I would say that this area is actually quite a bit more difficult to level in as opposed to the previous one. The enemies are just a little bit beefier. They do, you know, a little bit more damage, and you know, I feel like you kind of just need a little bit, you need to alter your strategies just a little bit more. I really don't feel like going with the double commando role is all that great. So like double commando and then a Ravager, I think it's called aggression. I didn't really feel like that worked that great for this specific area. You really want to build up the chain gauge on each of your targets and kind of take things down one at a time. A lot of these battles, there's going to be more enemies, and you really can't afford to be taking, you know, a bunch of extra damage by not focusing enemies down. Obviously, if you're not focus firing, things are going to generally live longer, and thus they will be able to deal more damage to you. So again, I kind of feel like you got to kind of get away from that if you're going to level here. I actually, I tried a bunch of different stuff, different combinations of all the different characters and whatnot, and this is kind of how this is kind of where I ended up. I really liked this setup here with, let's see here, we got Lightning as Ravager, Saz starts out as the Synergist, and Snow starts out as a Commando. So this first fight is actually really easy here. These guys don't pose much of an issue. Just kind of beat them down. But basically, you'll see here what I do for almost all of these battles is I start out with Saz being that the Synergist, get haste on everybody, and that's the real reason that I have him, or that's the biggest reason for bringing him along. He's the only one that's got access to haste right now, and that spell is awesome. No problem. But oftentimes what I'll do there, actually, I'll have him haste up everybody, and sometimes I'll even wait until he casts Bravery on Snow. Otherwise, I'll cut it a little bit shorter and just have haste on everybody, depending on the fight or how, you know, difficult I think it's going to play out. Alright, so let's head up to the second battle now. This one is quite a bit more difficult than the first one, and I actually recommend a certain order here. I really feel like the Destroyer needs to get taken out first. He's the one that's going to be able to use that bazooka command, and that can get kind of nasty. You know, not only does it do a decent amount of damage, but it also knock your characters off their feet and, you know, then delay their attacks and stuff. So generally I take him out first, and then I go for the huntresses or huntressai. I don't know, what do you call the plural version of huntress? Anyways. Just because, you know, they've got I know that I'm trying to remember what the name of the big guy is. I don't know if it's the Reaper or the Reaper or whatever this guy is called. He's pretty beefy because it just ends up being super tanky, and you really want to kill these the Huntress before you start working on him. They go down actually quite a bit faster, even with their defensive buffs. They'll still fall quite a bit more quickly. Yeah, the Reaver. That's the one. And all right. So, anyways, the one big reason actually why I kind of like this spot is that these Reavers drop Cobaltite, and Cobaltite actually doesn't sell for that much, but well, it does. It sells for 3k. But the good thing about it is, I mean, if you can get one from an enemy, that means that you don't have to buy it from the store. And if you're trying to buy them from the store, they're extremely expensive. I want to say like 17,000. So, I mean, you know, I don't know. It ends up, if you need them right now, it ends up being a huge savings, you know, as opposed to farming for money and then, you know, having to buy them. Now, you can also argue, though, that you can obtain cash so much or so quickly using the previous method there in the crew quarters. But, you know, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to what you want to do and where you want to level at. Excuse me. For this fight, I always like to focus the Dragoons down. The other guys are going to be able to they'll use guard every once in a while and stuff, so oftentimes they'll just end up taking, you know, quite a bit of time to take down. So I generally will save them for second. And then obviously the, oh, actually, here I actually went with the Reaver second. Normally I wouldn't do this. I really don't. I really usually end up saving the Reavers for last, typically. One more annoying thing about them, though, that I forgot to mention is I think they're like all the rest of their, I don't know, I guess call them like the SciComm. Gosh, I don't even really know what they. I think they fall under a special heading in your data log as far as the enemies go. Let me actually check here. Enemy intel, militaries? No. Soldiers. Let's go. Okay, SciComm elites. So that's what they're considered. There's a Cobaltite. So there you go, and 3 incentive chips. That's a pretty good fight right there. That was very profitable. Actually, that's over 10k right there. But anyways, yeah, the elites. I think they all can dispel, which is obviously extremely annoying, especially when you're trying to keep yourself buffed up. And but on top of that, though, when they're dispelling you, that means that they're not actually attacking you. So it ends up, I don't know, kind of being a bit of a trade-off. You know, so basically your character will be taking less damage, but they'll be getting their buffs ripped off. So, you know, I guess it kind of ends up. I think it's all right. It doesn't end up being that big of an issue. I mean, yeah, it does stink, but I think it's still okay. But anyways, all right. So what do we have here? This fight is actually extremely easy. This is another one of the really easy ones. It's actually really difficult to not get a 5-star rating for this one. I think a lot of times I'll just stay with the Ravager Synergist Commando paradigm and not even have to switch for that fight. But then there's this fight coming up here, and I think this is the worst one. This is the most difficult here. You've got 4 Dragoons and a Reaver. And obviously you really got to take down the Dragoons first. They're able to do so much damage that You know, you just really want to get them taken down and out of the way. And they're not that tanky, so, you know, again, just get them down, get them out of the way, and then work on the Reaver last. A lot of times what I'll do for these fights, too, is instead of swapping to a healing paradigm, I'll just hit the renew, you know, go into techniques and use renew. Now, that's going to take 2 TP, but it actually doesn't end up being too big of a deal, because I really only feel like there's this fight, and then maybe there's one more with the Reaver and the dual Huntress that ends up being, like, I would almost say difficult, or you know, maybe difficult isn't even a good word. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of how I like to do it. That way I don't have to swap to the healing paradigm, because that, you know, that takes time, and it's kind of just easier to stay with the double Ravager, the relentless assault, and keep the damage flowing, I suppose. So, all right, so there's one more Cobaltite, and then what did I also get there? A couple of credit chips. So not as profitable as that other battle, but you know what? That's all right. It ends up being quite all right. And then, so this is basically the path that I run. I run, you know, from the first save point, and there's only a couple of platforms that I actually like to travel to. And then here I'm just selling. Yeah, I'm just selling this stuff to show you guys how much this stuff is worth. I held on to the Cobaltite, actually. I wanted to stock some of that up for upgrading. I think it was accessory upgrading. But anyways, all right, so here's what I do. So I save, and then this is the part that actually kind of stinks about this method is I actually end up going to the title screen and reloading the game to make the enemies respawn. Now, you could run around this area and like do some other fights to, you know, make the enemies respawn, but there's not all the I don't like actually traveling to all of the platforms. There might be like a loop that's maybe worth running, but I kind of just like doing it this way. Again, you know, if you don't like having to reload your game every time to respawn enemies, that's understandable. It's I mean, to be honest though, that wasn't that bad, and I actually kind of feel like it's worth it. I did have actually at this point I didn't have the game loaded up on my hard drive. Now I've heard that the game loads faster, and actually I would almost agree with it, other than the fact that I haven't actually timed it out myself, but it certainly feels that way. But if you load up the game to your hard drive, specifically, you know, you'll have to load specific disks, and since we're on disk 2, you would want to have, you know, disk 2 loaded up on your hard drive, just to make that load time a little bit faster. But you know, I don't know. At the end of the day, I didn't feel like it was that bad anyway. So you know, I don't know. It's just something extra, I guess, if you want to try out this method, or you feel like you like this method. But anyways, all right. So we're gonna make just the same loop, or the same path. It's actually not really a loop, is it? Back to the first save point there, and then I'll just basically I was just repeating the process. You know, make run the line of enemies there, or zigzag path, or however you want to say it, and then you know, save, and then go back to the title screen. So another reason, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so there's a couple of reasons why I pick this specific party. Number one is Saz has got haste. That's the biggest reason why I have Saz with the party. Number two, Saz has his Eidolon already, which means that he's got 4 ATB segments, and thus, you know, he actually there's a small advantage to like your ATB recharge time and whatnot by having 4 segments. Basically, the more segments the more segments you have, the better off you are. And then on top of that, so that's why I picked Saz. And then actually Snow, basically the same reason. Snow's already got his Eidolon as well, which means he's got 4 ATB segments. So his commando is also really, really good right now. It's I don't know. I mean, so you can argue that you know, he probably isn't the best commando, but He's really good right now. And, I mean, as far as commandos go, you really only have so many options at this point in the game. Your main ones are going to be Lightning, Snow, and Fang. And Fang obviously does not have her Eidolon right now, which means she's only got 3 ATB segments, so she's at a disadvantage right now in that aspect. Now, Lightning, obviously she's got 4 as well, but I just feel like with what she's got access to right now, I feel like the best role for her is Ravager right now. So that means you still need a commando, meaning, you know, again, Snow is kind of who you got left. So, you know, you can take a look at what he's got as far as, you know, his commando abilities and whatnot right now. But I feel like he does a really good job for the time being. And then on top of that, actually, I should have actually brought this up too, but it's equipment-wise too. So, as far as I know, with what we have access to in the online shops, and kind of just what we've already got right now, I think Snow has the best strength stat, or his weapons have more strength than anybody else's right now. So maybe, you know, again, I guess Lightning would come, or would end up being really, really close with her Gladius. But Fang's, I don't think Fang's, well, what does she have right now? Is it it's the upgraded bladed lance? I think it's the glaive. But it doesn't end up with as much strength as what Snow can get right now. So, and that is fully upgraded though. So, you know, again, so all those things considered, I feel like Snow ends up being a really good commando for this, you know, if you're trying to level up in this specific area. And then again, with, you know, just talking about Lightning, you know, once again, actually, you can't actually, well, she's just going to end up in your party no matter what, because you can't swap her out right now. I think she's stuck as your party leader, so I think anyway. I don't remember if I was able to move her out or not, but I'm pretty sure she's stuck as the party lead. Anyways, so that means, you know, with her being there, I feel like her Ravager, you know, once again ends up being the best for a couple of reasons. You know, we've just got that Whistlewind Scarf and upgraded it to the Aurora Scarf. And then that combined with the Axis Blade gives her the ATB 10% recharge rate. And then on top of that, with the Axis Blade's own, every time she attacks, a portion of her ATB gauge is recovered. So again, with all that stuff combined, I just feel like she's a really, really good Ravager right now. And I just don't really feel like you know, anybody can really hold a candle to that. So, so that's the team. And again, you know, I tried different combinations of people. You know, I tried the Hope and Fang, and I just wasn't really impressed with. You know, they did okay. They did all right, but I really like having the Haste. You know, from Saz. That's probably that's the big one. And they just, it felt like they weren't able to get enough raw stats to be like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, ridiculous. So, and I mean, to be honest, that's not even the you know, the biggest selling point anyway with leveling in these areas. You know, you don't necessarily have to have just a ton of crazy raw stats to do really well. You know, it's more about, I mean, buffs. You know, again, haste is huge right now. And you know, that can kind of make up for some of it. So anyways, you know, again, I feel like in this area, I guess to sum it all up, I really like this this group setup right here, or this battle team. And you know, I liked the spot. I had a good time here. It was something that I had never tried before. I'd never, you know, run this route and really farmed the Cobaltite. And you know, again, I feel like it's kind of useful, at least for upgrading some of your accessories. So if that's what you want to do right now, maybe it might not be a bad idea to hang out here. Now, I still felt like the crew quarters was better. I mean, it's tough to beat the kind of the cash intake that you can make right there. I was hitting battles in like 9 seconds, so that's really tough to beat. But anyways, you know, again, if you like this spot, give it a shot. You know, try it out. Unfortunately, though, you really have to make that decision early, because once you leave the crew quarters in that area, there's a certain point where you can't return. So, you know, I guess just keep that in mind. So be ready to move on when you do. But anyways, I am going to cut this guide here. I hope it was helpful. You know, if you like the spot, you know, I guess leave a comment, say what you liked about it and whatnot. But otherwise, stay tuned for more of the walkthrough. The walkthrough will continue on in the next video. So thanks for watching.